Good morning and welcome to Alexander Hamilton Memorial Free Library's Adult Storytime this morning. We're taking our stories this summer from Fractured Fairy Tales, and it is a book of stories, fairy tales, as told by A.J. Jacobs, and they were featured on the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. And today's story is Son of King Midas. You might remember King Midas. He had a gold mine at the tip of a finger. Everything he touched turned to gold. For instance, that golden statue in the palace garden, once his daughter, the fountain out in front, once his butler. Yes, although it was a fabulous talent, it had its drawbacks. Now, unknown to many people, myself included, King Midas had a son. King Midas hardly knew he had a son either. On a rare night, the king and his son were eating dinner together. The king was trying to dig into his flounder and, ding, it became a goldfish. "My boy," asked King Midas, "why is it we never spend any time together?" "You think I want to end up like Sis?" Young Midas wisely decided to leave home. He packed his golden toothbrush in a golden suitcase and left the castle in a yellow cab. The king hadn't gotten to that one yet. In the big city, the boy enrolled at a large university and majored in dentistry. He finally felt free to pursue his passion of studying tooth decay and to forget his roots, the familial kind. He shunned all things gold. Even his American Express was the regular old green one. As a prince, you know, he could have gotten that gold card. But fate was about to strike a rather unfair blow. Young Midas was so intent on reading about molars and gums that he failed to notice a change in himself. One day, sitting in class, he asked a fellow student for a pencil. Young Midas took the writing instrument and dong, it turned into gold. Not the best gold, mind you. That would have been a ding sound, not a dong sound. But it was gold nonetheless. "Darn thing won't write," young Midas exclaimed to the student. "Where'd you get that gold pencil from?" "It wasn't gold when I gave it to you." Young Midas shrugged the incident off, but as you can see, young Midas had inherited his father's golden touch. It began in small ways like the pencil problem, but it really manifested itself on graduation day. "It is with the utmost pride and honor that I hand you this scroll," said the dean, handing young Midas his diploma. And dong, the scroll changed to gold. And dong, the dean went that way too. "Dean," exclaimed Midas. "Dean, what's wrong? You look dizzy, Dean." Aware of his dreadful legacy, but still a dentist at heart, the sorrowful young man opened up an office and went into the business. One day, young Midas was examining one of his patients. "Now remember," he said, "brush them twice a year. And by the way, who put all those gold teeth in your mouth?" "What gold teeth?" asked the patient, his eyes widening. Horror of horrors, young Midas had unknowingly transferred all the man's teeth into gold. In fact, it wasn't long before all his patients were similarly equipped, and business began to dry up. Finally, one day, King Midas tracked down his son at the office. "It's good to see you, my boy." "How can you say that after what you've done?" asked young Midas, pointing to the golden dentist chair, the golden spittoon, and the golden water pick. "I've got a good mind to touch you, dear Dad." King Midas spoiled what might have been a golden opportunity by convincing young Midas to visit an old witch who lived on the hill. Young Midas knocked on her door. "Go away," shouted the witch. "I have a spell to get out by noon. Very important. Can't lose this account." "But Dad said you'd de-golden touch me." "Oh, very well," said the witch. "Go into the waiting room. I'll be right with you." Young Midas went into the waiting room and picked up a copy of Jousting Illustrated, only to, dong, you guessed it. The newly golden magazine was so heavy that it, along with young Midas, plunged through the floor and crashed right onto the witch's head. "Why, you little," she screamed, running after young Midas as he beat a hasty retreat. His next stop was a tiny island, which sat in the center of a great lake. Not one of the Great Lakes, although the lake was a little eerie. And there, amidst the thick fog, stood the home of an old gnome. I want someone to take away my golden touch, and I hear you can perform great feats, said young Midas. I don't know about that, said the gnome, but I can do magic. It was good enough for young Midas, but as he entered the house, he brushed against the door jamb, and dong! The house turned to gold, and the island plunged to the bottom of the lake. Returning to his dentist's office, the crestfallen lad pondered his fate, and that's when a voice spoke from the chair. I should like a gold filling, young man. Sir, if I so much as touch one tooth, your entire set will turn to gold. Fine by me, said the man, a gray-bearded and big-bellied fellow, and in return I shall tell you how to solve your problems. How do you know about my problems? I've been reading the story. And so, dong, the young man got a mouthful of gold, and then he told the young man how to put his golden touch to good use. No, he didn't tell him to open a muffler shop, although that might have been a good idea. He told him to become a locksmith. What does the golden touch have to do with being a locksmith, you ask? Well, haven't you ever heard of Goldilocks? And that's today's story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us again next week as we read another story out of our Fractured Fairy Tale book. Until then, stay healthy, be safe, and have a wonderful week.